Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Lansbury, and joining me is my colleague Kathleen D'Amico, and we both work in the Office of Alumni Advancement here at McMaster. We'd also like to give a special welcome today for those from the class of 1970 who are joining us this evening, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us this evening for this evening's Wine Education Series Part 2, Wine Collection Tips with McMaster alumnus Kent Law. Kent has been in the fine wine industry for over 7 years, and over 3 of those years in wine auctions. As Deputy Director Specialist for Sotheby's Wines Hong Kong, Kent was involved in many single owner sales, including Transcendent Wines, the second largest single owner auction totaling over 234 million Hong Kong dollars, and the Philanthropist Cellar totaling over 127 million Hong Kong dollars. Kent is a keen home cook who enjoys making food for his family from scratch, especially for his 1-year-old. He never says no to a nice glass of Burgundy or champagne. During this evening session, Kent will give us tips for collecting wine, how to start a collection, what to look for, and how to find details at different price points. He'll also talk about his experience in the wine valuation, wine inspection, and how he helps collectors curate their own cellar and sell to maximize return. Following his talk, Kent will answer some of the questions that were submitted in advance, or if you have a question for Kent, please type it in using the Q&A button, and we will answer as many questions as time permits following his talk. Without further delay, joining us from Hong Kong, please welcome Kent Law.
Thank you, Jessica, and good evening to all MAC alumni. It's a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for joining us on a Thursday evening here in Canada or North America or wherever you are. So I hope you guys have a glass of something with you at the moment, because it's always good to have a glass of wine or a glass of champagne or a glass of something, a little evening tipple when we're talking about wine. So without further ado, let's begin the presentation today, actually sharing today. Well, I won't say presentation because it's really me sharing what I know with wine collecting and focusing in the auction market. So before we start, I just want to give you an overview of what the fine wine market is. Fine wines. The wines that we're talking about here, especially in auction, we're talking about investment grade fine wines. So we're not talking about the table wines or I won't say bad quality. It's still good, but then they're just not investment value. The demand is just not as great as these investment grade wines. So we're talking about wines like DRC. Lafite, Mouton, Loire, Rousseau, all the Burgundy greats, and all the wines in the Bordeaux 1855 classification, if some of you may know that. So we're talking mostly on those wines instead of the table wines that we buy in LCBO for $10 per bottle. So we're mainly focusing on those fine wines, and the value of the fine wine market is estimated at roughly $5 billion in 2018, and it's growing steadily in the past 2 years. So for 2019, it should be roughly around 5.5 billion, something like that. And for the fine wine market, or should I say, for fine wines, because demand is so high and the supply is so little during all these years. The fine wines is actually distributed through negociants in Europe or in the UK, and they will get an allocation, say, from DRC, right? So, for example, if I'm a Bordeaux negociant and I've been working with DRC for the past couple of decades, and they will give me an allocation of, say, maybe 20 bottles of Romanée-Conti per year, and then for me as a negotiant, I will distribute and allocate these wines to my local market. So this is how fine wine market has been working in the past couple hundreds of years actually. So that's how the fine wine market works, and distribution and regulation is key on each local market. So for example, I know for LCBO in Ontario, they have some allocation, not a lot. They have maybe a couple bottles per year. I would say maybe 10 to 20 bottles, roughly something like that, of all the RC wines per year. And then LCBO will then do a markup, and then they will sell it to their prime or the most VIP clients. That's what I think LCBO is doing. For SAQ, for example, in Quebec, I know they have a larger allocation of these fine wines. And so from what I know, please correct me if I'm wrong, in the Canadian market, Quebec is actually more of a fine wine central place versus Ontario. And I also know that some wine merchants in Saskatchewan and in Alberta, because I think their wine tax is a lot less than Ontario, and also the secondary market is legal there, and hence there are also a lot of these small merchants that they will also import fine wines in Alberta. So this is what I have researched in the Canadian market. I hope it's correct. So the global wine auction market is roughly around 10% of the entire fine wine market, and it's still growing pretty steadily, because auction is perceived as the pinnacle of the secondary market. Because when you go to auction, you always hear some wine that just had a new record of prices. For example, would be 1945 DRC Romanée-Conti that our New York office did back in 2018, and one bottle sold for 550,000 US, which is basically a price of a condo in downtown. So, and people are actually willing to pay these prices for ultra rare and unicorn wines. So, but of course, today we're not focusing on these crazy wines. We're focusing more on auction, and it's really not just for the wealthy, because you can get great deals in auction. You can go treasure hunt. And for me, example, I rarely buy wines on retail right now. I mainly buy wines in auction. I would say 90% of what I buy now, consuming or investing or whatever, yeah, I just buy most of them in auction. So for Sotheby's, we lead the global live auction market, and then we're still leading now, but let's not talk about that today. Okay. So wine retail versus wine auction. Well, retail is simple, right? You go to LCBO, you buy a bottle of wine, it's fixed price, it's easy transaction. You go there, you buy, you go home, you enjoy. It's straightforward. There's no hassle in studying or whatever. You can just ask the guys here to help you out if you're looking for something special tonight, or just looking for a bottle to just enjoy, or something that you want to try. So retail is this. It's all, but then, however, for retail, you mostly get younger wines. So wines that are just released, or maybe released a year or two ago, because I would say 90% of the wines that we get in wine retail are for your immediate consumption. So you should drink it so I will not lay down a bottle of say Niagara Valley Chardonnay, example. I will not lay that down for more than 3 years. I would just drink it in the next year or so, because 90% of the wines that are made are for your consumption in the short run. So within 2 to 3 years, you should be drinking it. And these are the wines that you mostly get in wine retail. Versus in auction, things are a bit different, because the variety is well, actually, I won't say the variety is more, but I would say you have a better chance of getting some mature vintages or finer wines in auction. In auction, there is no fixed price, right? It's not like this bottle of wine will cost you 100 Canadian. We don't have that. We use estimates instead of a fixed price. So for a lot of, say, 6 bottles of Chateau Montrose 2000, example, that will be roughly, the estimates will say it's going to be 5,500 Hong Kong to 7,500 Hong Kong, which is roughly 900 to 1,300 Canadian, something like that. So you get a range of prices instead of having a fixed price. And you can decide on whatever amount you wish to bid based on that estimate. You can bid higher than the estimates, or sometimes even lower than the estimate. It's entirely up to you. But the estimates are there to guide you for what the price, sort of what the hammer price will be during the auction. So if you can get it at the low estimate or even lower, then that's a bargain in most cases, and that is why an auction, it may intimidate some people to start with, because it's a pretty niche market and it's a bit more complicated than retail. But when you actually know more about it, it's actually very fun. I bid an auction all the time, not just for wine, but for art as well. I'm starting to collect art, and I know that if I want to bid on this piece of Zawuki print, I know I can get it cheaper in auction other than in a gallery. And I know that because working in a esteemed auction house, I know that will be authentic. So I'm pretty happy in bidding in auction, and I encourage all of you too, because you can get deals on that cost much lower than retail. For example, recently bid on a case of 2000 Montrose, exactly what I just talked about. And I shared with a couple of friends, even including delivery, my price was around 1,050 Hong Kong dollars. And then in retail, the cheapest you can find is around 1,500. So that's a 33%, 33% reduction of the lowest retail price that I can find online. So yeah, so yeah, I love auctions. Yep, treasure hunting, definitely. You may have to spend a bit more time hunting for the wines that you like, and even wines that you don't, or that you just want to try, and then it's really a great way to expand your horizons in terms of wine knowledge or just wine consumption. I think it's absolutely great. So okay, the farmer market in the future, what's going to happen in the future? And we're actually seeing this happening already, is a whole fine wine market ecosystem that we will see. So basically, you can have storage and you can buy wines all over the world. Say, so the 3 wine centers in each continent: London in Europe, New York in North America, Hong Kong, Asia. So say you have say you buy wines in each of these 3 locations, and you can have, and your platform, or should I say, your platform can actually manage all these wines for you. Either it's physical stock or virtual stock, and you can also trade wines in this platform. So if you bought too much of a wine that you have, you can actually trade it within that platform. So you can buy and sell in that particular platform all around the world. You can sell in every location. You can buy in every location. You can store in every location. And say you have a business trip in Amsterdam, for example, and then you fly to Amsterdam. You can actually ask the London warehouse to ship the wines for you to Amsterdam. You just have to pay for delivery, and then you can enjoy the wines there. So this is getting a lot more transparent. It's I won't say AI, but then it's also, the wine market is also garnering a lot more attention for big data, and this is what's going to happen, and it will happen during the next couple of years. So buying an auction, it's definitely not as hard as you think. There are different auctions that we have. Well, I mean, first of all, there are live auctions, right? So you go there. You attend an auction. There's a live auction room. You register for a paddle, and then you bid. That's a live auction. And then there's also online auctions, which I can show you later in the Sotheby's website. There's online auctions, so everything is online. you just click and bid on whatever wine that you're looking for. And then there's online to live. So basically, it's an auction that is online. It will close on live. So what that means is you can bid online. So the auction will open, say, 10 days or 2 weeks before the live auction. And then you can place your bids prior online. And then at the day of auction, there will be an auctioneer conducting the auction, and then they will hammer on the prices. People are still free, okay to bid during in the live auction. So there are 3 types of auction methods right now, and there are also different bidding methods. You can bid online, of course. You can bid in the live sale room with the paddle. You can also place absentee bids. So what are those? Those are bids that you can place with any auction house. Well, because you cannot attend the auction. So it's also my way of bidding, because you set what your highest price is, right? So you're willing to pay this much money for that particular lot. But then there's also a chance that if there's not a lot of interest in that lot, you might have a chance to get that lot lower than your bid, in a price lower than your bid, because you are the highest bidder. And then in most auction houses, well, at least for Sotheby's, if there is no, or should I say, if there's not much interest in the lot but you, and you bid, say, on the mid estimate, there's a high chance you can probably get the lot in the reserve price, which is lower than what your intended price is. So again, even better. And phone bids, you can ask our colleagues to call you during the auction, and then you can place bids on the phone. So these are 4 ways you can bid in auction. In auction, we also have auction catalog. So basically, every detail is there. We do everything for you. We catalog it for you. We do we inspect it for you. We did all the valuation. You can get all the condition reports on every lot and every bottle. Because for us, well, for Sotheby's, I would say we inspect every bottle. If it's that's just how we do things, and because of the work that we put into, our clients can be rest assured that the wines are authentic, the conditions will be good, and what they buy is what they're going to drink. So if you, something that we really stress on is whatever that you buy should taste like the wine of itself, right? So if you're buying a bottle of, say, Lafite 82, which is a legendary wine, and you're paying big money for it, and paying 2,000 to 3,000 Canadian for it, it should taste like a Lafite 82. So this is something that we really stress on, and I will explain a bit later as well. Provenance and authenticity and condition and integrity is really what makes us one of the best auction houses in the world. So shall I? Well, what's selling auction? Well, mainly for Bordeaux and Burgundy. There is a certain surge in spirits lately. I think spirits now consists of around 10 to 12% of our annual sales versus 2018, 4%. So spirits is something that has also surged, especially in the past 2 years. So perhaps I can show you an example on how. These on what an auction or how an auction looks like, and then I think it's easier this way to show you how an auction works. So you go to our website, or you can go to any auction house's website, and you'll find similar things. So you go to Sotheby's.com, you go to auctions, calendar, and then department, wines and spirits, or whatever that you may like. It could be art, could be jewelry, could be watches. Click on these 3 sales, the New York sale, and then you will be in our main page, our overview page, and this shows you what each collection represents, and then introduction of each collection that we have here. This is a VO, a various owner sale, so there will be multiple collectors that are selling through us. So yeah, these are just different intros. I won't spend too much time on this. And I would much prefer you guys to see the action here. So you go to lots. So yeah, so yes, there are some crazy lots as well, but then there are also pretty cheaper lots, depending on what you plan to spend. So say each lot you plan to spend 500 US. You can actually adjust it here, and then everything will only show up. Well, actually, yeah, and then you can show. Today is about treasure hunting. It's about stressing the point that auction is not just for the wealthy. So I would focus on the value wines that I think are great. 1 second, actually. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, there are. So for example, say, let's see, what's a good lot I can give you an example of. Okay, say you're looking for something not so extravagant. Actually, give me 1 second. Just do some, say you're looking for red Bordeaux. Okay, much better. Okay, so you look, say, let me see. Yep, example, right? A Chateau, we have a Porphyry, a vertical of 4 bottles, right? It's now currently bidding at 250 US. And say you're a big fan of Porphyry wines, and it is. It's a second growth wine from Saint Julien, and it's a great wine. The fruit flavor is really pronounced. And there you go. You have 1 bottle of 82, which is a great vintage. A bottle of 83, also well, not as good as 82, but still a pretty pleasant vintage. And 2010, recent vintage, but it's classified as one of the greatest vintages in the past decade or so. Really marked by its balance, its finesse, and its ability to age. 2010 vintage. I would highly recommend this vintage for Bordeaux or Burgundy. It's just a great vintage. And recently, I just had a bottle of 2010 Rousseau Gervais Chambertin Village with my wife on Monday, and it was superb, absolutely superb wines. So okay, so for example, say you like this wine, and it's currently bidding even lower than the estimate. So good news. So say you bid on, say, 300. This is the amount that you're willing to bid on. So you place bid, and then you start at 300. Well, I have to register first. But then but then if I have already registered, it will show you that confirm. Are you sure you want to bid 300? Yes. And also for each auction house, there is a premium. There is a buyer's premium. For I would say it's the norm for most auction houses right now. It's 24% buyer's premium based on the hammer. So for example, if this is hammered on $300, then you would pay 1.24, whoops, times 1.24, which is $372. Well, but then we also have our 1% overrate premium. So you times 1.01 again. So this is the amount that you will pay for the entire lot, excluding taxes or any delivery or whatever, right? $380, it sounds a lot, right? But it's actually, so how would I know that if this is a price that is a deal compared to the retail market? You can actually, sorry, 1 second here. Yeah. So you can actually go to, say, many websites, and then probably the one or the most common one is winesearcher.com. So say you go there and you type Levé Porphyry, say 1982 example. And then it basically shows you a lot of prices offered by different wine merchants. Well, there is, so this one's New York, that's on New York auction, but say you want it in Canadian dollars. Yes, you may. Canadian dollars, this is, so there you go. The cheapest one they can find is in Hong Kong, in Vintage Grand Cru, and that's sold for 281. So that is, so this bottle on retail is already 281. And that does not account for the bottle of 83 and the 2 bottles, oh, whoops, and the the 2 bottles of 2010. Yeah, here you go. okay, so the cheapest we can get on retail, okay, so this is what we get in auction, 380. And then 281, 281. Let's go check on the other vintages as well, 83. Yeah, whoops, 83. Cheapest you can get is 154. So plus 154. And then say 2010. Cheapest thing you can find is in cult wines in the UK, and that's 149 per bottle because this is a case price of 12. So say plus 149. So the cheapest you can get in retail, throughout the entire world, it's 584. And what is our price before? It's 380, right? Or just make it 400 to keep the math easier. So it's 400 divided by 584, and you get it at 32% off. So again, so if you can get this wine and you like this wine, it's a pretty good deal. I would say so. So something that I want to stress on that buying on auction is really not a bad thing. And do not be intimidated by auction, because what we usually see in the media is, yes, this bottle of wine just had a new record of a new price. So today I really want to stress it's not really for the wealthy. It's not only for the wealthy, but it's also for normal day drinkers like me and you. Actually, yeah, one more thing as well. There are certain conditions here. So for example, this 82 bottle, U.VTS simply means that the ullage is very top shoulder. What the ullage is basically a wine fill. How full is this bottle of wine? So for very top shoulder, well, here's the bottle. This is the neck. That's a shoulder. This whole thing is a shoulder. So very top shoulder will be somewhere around here, which is very good considered 38-year bottle of wine. So that's pretty darn good. Same with the 83 bottle, except it's dam stain label and nick capsule. So yes, it's not perfect because wine auction is selling secondary market wines and selling wines from other collectors. So yes, you can't say, so yes, you may argue it's secondhand wines, but very good secondhand wines. And especially that we've really taken the care of making sure that the appearance and the conditions are good in our auction. So rest assured it will be a very nice bottle. And then for 2010 scuff label, so the labels are a bit scuffed, which doesn't really affect the quality or the wine itself. So yeah, so this is just a very brief example on one of our auctions, or you can go to any auction house. But when you choose for an auction house, make sure you choose for an auction house that has a good track record, that really takes time, and the people would really help you answer any questions that you may have, and that's very important. Okay, so going back to our presentation, or sorry, our sharing. So who's buying an auction? Mainly from Hong Kong and the US. It consists of roughly 60% of worldwide auction buyers, not just for us, but I would say for other auction houses as well. Hong Kong and US are really buying the most right now in the world, and then followed by China, Taiwan, and other places in Europe. And you'll be surprised, like China is relatively small compared to Hong Kong, especially with the growing economy. And so we think that in the future, the Chinese market will definitely bloom in, say, next 5-10 years. So, okay, also today I want to take you guys behind the scenes on what we do in inspecting, because we inspect every single bottle of wine that we have. What we look for, so provenance is basically a fancy term of saying history of ownership. So who has owned this bottle before? So we will look for purchase records. We will look for storage conditions. Where has this wine been before we inspect it in our hands? Is this straight from a wine merchant or a wine negotiant, or the seller's dad got it since he got it? So maybe in that 20, 30, 40 years ago. We will also look at the condition of the bottle. and the wine. What's the color? What's the clarity? What are the levels? What are some of the labels? Is the label scuffed, or is it damp stained? Or if it is damp stained, is it caused by humidity, or is it caused by wine stains? Because for wine stains, it's a completely different story. It means that there's seepage, and depending on how badly there is seepage, we might reject the wine, or if it's only a little bit, then we might still take it. Especially for wines like Domaine Leroy, which is known for filling up their bottles very, very high. And so some seepage is sometimes inevitable, but then for most other wines, if there's seepage, we would usually well, first of all, state it in our catalogs, and also we would lower the estimates. And also the color. The color is actually very, very, very important, especially for a red wine. And it's also very simple. You can do it at home as well. You just shine a light on the wine, actually. And it's very simple. Then if the light can shine through the wine, then it's good. And it should appear in ruby red. The wine should be clear, it should be clean, and it should appear ruby red. And you don't even need to have a fancy flashlight. You can just use your camera phone, and it works perfectly. We do it all the time. And then the other is also consistency. This is regarding a bit on authentication on one thing for example, this guy is inspecting a bottle of 1969 Petrus. From the looks of it, looks like a new release or a later release, because the labels look awfully new. So okay, so we look at the label, we look at the capsule, we look at the cork and the glass. Is everything consistent with that era? Sometimes we find wines that are not consistent. So a bottle of 1975 Petrus might not have the right capsule. Then that raises questions, and that may not be a genuine bottle that we would like to sell in our auctions. So we will reject that.
Sorry,
Yep.
Ken. Sorry to jump in again. Are you referencing your slides currently? I think we're still seeing the auction website.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, I forgot this new share. My apologies.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. Okay. So can you guys see it now?
Oh yeah, all good.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So provenance, condition, consistency, and the records. So these are the things that we look on, or that we will look when we inspect the wine. Well, actually, and when we inspect the wines, yeah, just like the guy in the picture, we don't use, or should I say, we don't have to use fancy equipment like carbonating machines or whatever. We don't have to use that. So sometimes simply an eye lube will do the job with you, with light and blue light, and then yeah, you can actually do many things. So when we evaluate a wine, or when we do valuation, what some of the criteria that we look for are these. So we have 10 different criteria when we evaluate wines. Some of them apply more than others. For wines, the medium doesn't really matter. Subject matter also doesn't matter too much. But then for other criteria, it does. So authenticity, of course, being authentic is extremely important. The conditions of the wine, what's the color, how are the labels, how are the capsules, if it's too scuffed or is it too stained, is this something that we wanna sell, or if say the capsule is very corroded, so is it also something that we want to sell, because that might affect the storage condition of the wine. And then of course rarity. Of course, a bottle of DRC Romanée-Conti will definitely definitely cost a lot more than say a bottle of generic Bordeaux wines. Also the provenance is very important. Single owner sales always garner a much higher demand than various owner sales, almost just because buyers are more rest assured that if it's from a single owner, everything is from that single collection or that same seller. And most of them, if we do single owner sales, it's usually a couple million US, or sometimes even or at least 1 million US. And so people who will spend that much money on wines will definitely take care of their wines. So that is their mentality. And also they are more assured to pay a bit more on these wines. 5, historical importance. So for example, this bottle right that I'm circling with my mouse. So this bottle is a 1945 bottle of DRC. This is the wine that I mentioned about earlier. So this bottle sold for 550,000 US. So a couple of factors. Why? Number one, 1945 vintage. It's, correct me if I'm wrong. This is where World War II ended. Yeah, and then also a 45 is a great vintage in Burgundy. It's also a bottle from the cellar of Robert Druhan. Robert Druhan is from the Druhan family, which is the official distributor of DRC wines back in the 40s, the 30s to 40s. And so we know that this bottle would be something very, very special. This is something that we will call a unicorn wine, something that you do not see every day. It's extremely rare. The provenance is impeccable because it's directly from the cellar of Mr. Druhan. And we know that the wine is directly from DRC, the domain itself. So all these factors counting in, it affects the value of wine. Number 6, the size. The bottle size is also important. A magnum versus a normal bottle size of 750 mils. There will be a difference in prices, especially for these fine wines. The larger format usually the pricier, yes, but then it's not just twice the price. Sometimes it's 2.5 times of the price, or sometimes even 3 times the price, because of these rare wines you can get. And also larger bottles, they produce less of it, and the ability of aging is also a lot more. So factor in all those factors, large bottles will have a big difference in prices. Fashion, meaning trend. What is trendy now? What are people drinking now? In past 2 years, 3 years, people are drinking Burgundy, and sort of Bordeaux is sort of underlooked and sort of undervalued. Same with Italian wines and the other wines, but they're also great wines to have. But it's just a trend right now. Burgundy is the trendiest subject matter. We're normally talking about art, so let's not dwell too much on that. Medium, for wines as well, it's usually in glass, or sometimes for spirits or for port, they will have these special crystal decanters, but it doesn't really affect that much. And then 10, quality. Of course, quality is extremely important, right? If you a first growth Chateau Latour will definitely have higher quality than, say, a generic Bordeaux AOC wine. So the quality is also very important when it comes to valuation. Okay, so what to buy? Okay, it's actually 40 minutes already, so I have to hurry. Okay, so what to buy? You can buy the ultra rare or the rarely seen wines, or specific provenance, or just wines that if you want to buy now, you want to buy value wines, then you find the underappreciated wines or out of fashion wines. So right now, if you buy Bordeaux in Italians, it's great, or up and coming domains or chateaus under the radar. This one being one of them, we call CLF, Cocart Lauson Thurot. It's a great Burgundy, relatively new domain in Burgundy that is definitely garnering attention, and prices have risen steadily in the past 3 years. So established versus up and coming. Example would be Domaine Rouleau and Bernard Bonnan. These are white wines from Meursault. Rouleau is probably one of the most sought after white Burgundy producers in the market right now, and the prices have increased very, very steadily in the past couple of years. There was a very high demand of these wines, but very little production, so it just dropped. So I would say these are blue chip wines, like blue chip. You buy these will grow steadily. Versus, say, Bernard Bonnan, which is relatively little lesser known winery, but that has risen in the past 2-3 years or so. When I first bought, or should I say, when I'm first drinking Bernard Bonnan, it was a normal Meursault Village will cost me maybe 400 Hong Kong. Right now it's up to 600, and that was just 2 years ago. So prices has risen a good 50%. So yeah. And these wines are also a lot cheaper than the big names, such as Rouleau or Etienne Zouzé or Kosturi. These are much cheaper, but they also provide you great enjoyment. Production in Burgundy is always tiny. If the production is over 10,000 bottles a year, that's considered a pretty decent size. Okay, so same thing for CLF and the Dujac. Again, CLF is a great rising star here in Von Romani, because he has been making wines under the tutelage of Sylvain Cathillard. And Cathillard is also a great Von Romani producer. Its flagship wine is Romani Saint Vivant, and it can easily cost you over 2,000 Canadian per bottle. So again, a great producer. And then the winemaker of CLF are great friends with Cathillard, and he will incorporate some of Cathillard's philosophy in winemaking. And so there are some similarities between these two vintages. I'm sorry, these two producers, and we can see a steady increase in quality and price and demand over the last couple of years. Versus Dujac, again, it's based on Maurice Saint-Denis, but then its wines are again demanded in anywhere in the world, in US, in Europe, in Hong Kong. These wines garner great interest. If you bring a bottle of Dujac to a dinner, people will love you just because they're great wines and they're greatly sought after. And yeah. So up and coming wines, sorry, or should I say undervalued wines here, Côte d'Esson 995, Bordeaux, a second growth here from Saint-Estèphe. Again, these wines are currently under the radar right now just because the trend is drinking Burgundy, but Bordeaux is really the wine to buy now if you enjoy Bordeaux wines, just because it's when you bid online, if you bid in auctions on Bordeaux, I would say 8 times out of 10 you can probably get it at the low estimate. Well, actually, maybe 7. Yeah. Especially wines that are not in their legendary vintages, say like 1982s, the 89s, the 90s. Well, those will garner more interest, and so the bid value will be higher. But if you say a 1985 bottle of Las Cases, like you can probably get it at the low estimate, and that is a lot cheaper than retail. Trust me on that. And then and you buy mature bottles because the price of mature bottles in the newly released wines are roughly the same. So if you buy en primeur Bordeaux right now, you're buying 2019, the price will probably be the same if you buy an auction and you're buying a 1996 vintage or a 95. It's roughly the same price. So if you want to enjoy the wine, buying an auction really is a place to go because we have stored it. Because the wine is already matured, the condition is nice. It's just a no-brainer. Well, at least for me, to buy mature bottles right now. And then Towning wines, Internal again, it's very similar to Burgundy because it really it also focuses on terroir and the different makeups of the region and the different vineyard. So similar to the Burgundy, it also has great ability to age, and undoubtedly the quality of these wines are there. It's just currently overshadowed by Burgundy or the classic regions of France, and so these are also sometimes a bit underlooked. But these are some of the wines that I believe if you want to test it out, you would have to try these. These are definitely the wines that you should get. Okay, so let's leave 15 minutes for questions, if that's okay with you guys. Sorry for taking longer than I thought. Can you see me?
Yep, we can see you, Kent. That was great. Thank you. Yeah, we've had quite a few questions that have come in. The first one I'm going to start with is, how long should a good vintage sit before drinking?
It's very personal, to be honest. It's very, very personal. Some people like more tannic wines. They will probably not sit for too long. But then for me, example, I like wines that are a bit more balanced. So for example, say, okay, what's a good example? Say a Montrose. Sorry, let's say a little plus cast, right? Say a new vintage, say 2015, which is 5 years old. 2015, knowing that that is a pretty good year in Bordeaux. It's warm. There's enough sunshine. There's no rain. It's basically a great year for winemakers to make a great wine. So for that, I know that the tannins will be strong. I know the alcohol level will also be a bit higher than usual, and the acidity is also a bit high. So for that, I will probably sit that for a good 10, 15 years for me before consuming it. But then for some people who like more tannic wines, you might not have to wait that long. You will probably drink it now after 5 years. And some people that I know, they like really mature wines, and they will sit for at least 20 years before drinking it. So I'm not that patient. I like to actually drink it. So to me, I much rather buy wines in the 90s or early 2000s. So it's very personal. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It just depends on what style of wines that you like.
Great, thanks, Kent. How will a 2010 wine increase in value, say in 10 to 20 years?
Since release, I would say it has, well, actually, depending on where, on what wine. So say for even though if in the same region, say in Bordeaux or in Burgundy, different domains will have different price points, and they will also have different rates of appreciation. So it's hard to say, but in general, I would say being such a great vintage, 2010, and it's still relatively young, it's only 10 years old today, I see it has massive potential to grow another 50% in the next 10, 20 years, at least, I would say.
Great, thanks. Another question that has come up, are there white wines that are worth collecting? I know you have referenced a number of the reds.
Of course, there are many white wines and white wine producers that are worth collecting. Couche d'Oeil is something that I mentioned. Domaine Rouleau is, it was in one of my presentation slides. It also depends on what wines that you like. If you enjoy Burgundy, then you would collect those. But if you enjoy Bordeaux white wines, I would recommend Aubryon Blanc. That is a great wine, or Smith Olafite Blanc, also a great white wine in the Passacq-Léognan region. Or if you don't like French wines, you like, say, Australian wines, for example, then you can probably go for Luna State in Margaret River. They also make some killer Chardonnays there. Or if you like US white wines, you can probably go for Kistler. Kistler Chardonnays are great. Peter Michael is also another great winery that makes bomb Chardonnays. So it depends on which style of white wine you like.
Great, thanks, Kent.
Yep.
Another question, given the controversy raised by documentaries like Sour Grapes and counterfeit wine fraud, what would give potential collectors confidence that they're not buying fakes?
That's a great question, actually. Actually, a really great phenomenon just got released. The alleged counterfeit winemaker that got arrested in 2010, and then he was sentenced to prison by the FBI for 10 years. I think he's also the first counterfeit winemaker that actually got prosecuted and got prisoned. But yep, he's out on the go now. So yeah, so my answer would be you buy from very reputable sources, very reputable merchants. That is very important, especially in our fine wine world. Just because reputation and integrity is the only currency that we have, really, in any auction house. If an auction house is found to sell counterfeit wine, that would seriously affect its name and also its buyers. So we will do everything that we can as an auction house to do all the research for you and to make sure that all the wines that we sell are genuine. And I understand that it's the general public might not have enough knowledge to know that, but then the best protect yourselves is really buy from reputable merchants or auction houses. That's really the best way to ensure that your collection, everything is genuine. Sometimes you might pay a certain premium on those wines, but think of it as an insurance. You're already paying, say, 10,000 Canadian for a bottle of Loire Richemont. Some merchant that you find online, they may sell it at 55,000, but that's a 10% difference versus that's a 10% difference. Yes, in prices, yes, I agree. $5,000 is a lot of money. But when you think about, you're already paying this much. It's just 10%. Are you willing to sacrifice quality or authenticity over just 10% of that price? So think of it as insurance. This is something I always tell my clients. So yes, we are not the cheapest wine in the market. We know that. But it's also because we really put in the effort and we really make sure we know how to authenticate a bottle of premium wine. We know how to, and we have this knowledge, and we provide the service for you. And so, yeah, I would say buy from reputable merchants and auction houses. That's the best way.
Yeah, well, that sounds like good advice. Another question that came in, when you are purchasing wines, you'll see warnings about sulfites. Why do they have to warn us about the wines containing the sulfites?
Well, sulfites are added in, I would say, 99.999% of all the wines. Yeah, they're added there for a stabilizing agent, just to make sure the wine is stable during transportation and the wine won't get oxidized prematurely. So sulfur or sulfite is added. Just because some people may be allergic to sulfites, and so I know some countries, they have regulations, say for example, the US, they have regulations saying that yes, this one contains sulfites or sometimes even egg white products, because in winemaking, egg white is used for a filtering wine, for refining the wine, make it clear and look nice. So I know that some countries they do have that regulation. In Hong Kong, we don't. So yeah, we just like. But then, to be frank, I think less than 1% of the population is really allergic to sulfites. If you eat dried fruits, it actually contains more sulfites than wine. So if you eat raisins or dried apricots, or dried whatever fruit, or dried pineapples, or dried mangoes, it contains more sulfites than a glass of wine. So if you can eat those, then the sulfites in the wine will not really affect you.
And another question that came in, if you are storing wines, what are the main things that you should take into consideration in storing the bottles, and are white and red wines stored differently?
To make it easier for me, I store all my wines in a wine cellar and in a wine fridge in 13 to 15 degrees. There are actually, yeah, that's a sweet spot for temperature if you want to store your wines in the long term. And I'm not talking about like 10, 20, 30 years. If you want to store your wines long term, these are the conditions that you should store at. So 13 to 15 degrees, around 70% more or less in humidity. There's no direct light, so there's no UV light. It's not directly under sunlight. I think most wine fridges right now, they have these anti-UV doors, so it's pretty safe, and also safe from vibration. So if you have an underground cellar right beside some railroad tracks, that's not an ideal location. So safe from vibration, 13 to 15 degrees temperature, roughly is more or less 70% humidity, and no direct UV sunlight or any UV light. These are the best conditions to store your wine in. And if you buy wine fridge, it usually takes care of everything.
Great, thanks. Lots of questions coming in, and our time is winding down, but we'll do a couple more. Other than the price, when we go to the LCBO, there's literally hundreds of red wines. What indicators can an average buyer look for in order to buy a decent wine when you're not able to sample or taste it?
That's a good question, actually. It really depends on what you like. And sometimes, yes, it does take some time to experiment different regions or different grape varieties before knowing what wines that you like. For example, I like Burgundy and Champagne. Right? I really enjoy the lightness in body, but also the aromas and the flavor it gives out in such a light-bodied liquid. Champagne as well, it's relatively light in body, but then the flavors and aromas are just enticing and crazy. Some people, however, they like heavier wines. So Cab Sav and Shiraz would be something you would prefer. So a great example would be a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignons. Those would be wines that you would prefer. So an indicator that you can try is by what kind of coffee do you like? Do you like black coffee, or do you like coffee with lots of sugar and cream? If you like lots of sugar and cream in your coffee, if you like a double at Timmy's, then you might want to go for, say, the heavier blends, say Cab Sav, Cabernet Sauvignon, or Shiraz in warmer regions, in the warmer climates. So Napa Valley is a great example. Australia from Barossa is also another great example. I would probably not recommend Canadian ones if you really enjoy, just because Canada has a relatively cooler climate, and so the wines naturally don't have that fruit profile that you might like. I would also recommend wines from Chile and Argentina. Those are also warmer climates. So warmer climate wines are something that you might want to look for if you want to start with enjoying wines. And if you're someone like me who enjoys something a bit lighter in style, then Burgundy is a great example. Canadian wines is also a great example. You go for Washington wines from Oregon, also a great choice. From Australia, I would go for a cooler region, say Clare Valley, or say Margaret River, or let's see, another region. Say in Italy, I would probably go for Mount Etna, so the Etna region. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we have time for one more question. And this is a fun one. What wine would you buy for your future grandchild's wedding?
My future grandchild's wedding.
For you, that's a ways off.
It's ways off. So I don't know, that's probably 50, 60 years away from me, if I'm still alive. If I buy now, can I buy later?
Or for someone who that's a little bit sooner for.
Yeah, okay. Say, how about my son's wedding? So that would be.
Yes, there you go.
In 20, 30 years, right? 20, 30 years. And there he is. Okay. So something that aged for 20, 30 years. I will buy a good vintage for sure, number one. Hopefully his birth vintage. Which is good. So luckily 2019 is my son's birth year. And by reading all the reports and trying some 2019 wines, I know 2019 will be a great vintage for Bordeaux and Burgundy. So I will probably buy 2019 Bordeaux, knowing that it has the aging potential for a good 20, 30 years. So I'll probably buy a good quality wine. So something in the second to third growth, or even first growth, if I have the money. But second growth is a pretty sweet spot for wines that can age a good 20, 30 years, or a third growth, or something that doesn't break my wallet as well. I would probably go for a Ponte Canet 2019, or a Lynch-Bodge 19, or a let's see, something that's not too pricey, or a Saint Pierre 19. Yeah, so I would probably buy those if I'm really buying right now for my son's wedding. Well, actually, Kathleen, do you mind if I share my screen just for 1 second? I just want
Sure.
to show the folks what do I mean by the first row, second rows, and third rows. Not this guy actually. Sorry, can you guys see my screen?
Yep, we can see it. We're
So
good.
yeah, so basically what I'm talking about, the first, second, third, fourth rows is basically, yeah, first one. The 1855 classification. This is, you can just search it on Wikipedia and it's right there. So basically in 1855, I think it was Louis XIV, he made a classification of all the Bordeaux chateaus based on quality. And there it goes, first row. So these are the priciest for up to the not as pricey ones. So the first rows are the Lafittes, the Latours, the Margots, the Aubrions, the Moutons. These are the pricey. These are the gold standard for Bordeaux wines. But then they are quite pricey. So for me, I usually look for anything below, and some of these chateaux, they're actually very, very good on the money. For example, Cantermel probably will cost you 60 Canadian-ish. I'm not sure how much LCBO charges you, but then in Hong Kong, you can probably just get this in 60 Canadian, which is not bad for a fit growth. And if you go for, say, something a bit fancier, you can probably go for Lynch-Bodge, also a fit growth, but then it's after all these years, because this is set in 1855, right? So after 150 whatever years, things have changed. And so some of these wineries have actually increased a lot in the quality. And Lynch-Bodge is being one of them. Grand Prix Le Cause is one of them. Chateau Bataille is another one of them. Clyde Milon is also another one of them. So there are many choices that you can get, or that you can start with from this list. To be honest, this is actually when I first drank wine, this is the list that I went for. So something I would start by something at the lower end, and then I would try my way upwards. So Las Cases is a second growth that I really love. I really enjoy their wines. Same thing with Montaud as well. And yeah, and anything in between. Something that, another wine that I really enjoy is Saint Pierre. There are these Bordeaux grower meetings, and they will each bring their wine, and they will, and each grower or each winemaker will try the wines blinded. And Saint Pierre is always one of them that rises at the top 3. So yes, it's not as well known, but it's really great quality. So this is wine that I highly recommend. That does not break your wallet, and it still gives you the pleasures of great Bordeaux.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kent. Thank you for joining us tonight, our time, and tomorrow morning, your time, for sharing these wine collection tips. I know that we've all learned a lot tonight. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in to our webinar. We will be sending out a survey via email, and we hope that you'll take a few minutes to complete that. And we will see you in 2021 with more content, and hope everyone has a great night.